All right, everybody, we are back. So 4 months ago, going on to 5 months ago, I made a video on this channel called the many forms of Typhlosion, and I think it was a pretty fun video for me to make, and it was interesting to see how many forms the fake mon the fan games gave to Typhlosion. But there's also another Pokemon that actually got a decent amount of love from the fan games on the Pokeathlon server, and that is none other than the GOAT, Dunsparce. So we're going to be going over the different forms of Dunsparce. There isn't as many as Typhlosion, unfortunately, but I did want to talk about it because this has been a thought that crossed my mind quite a few months, like at least a month or two ago, but I just haven't come around to making this video. But yeah, if you guys do enjoy this video, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of September. Obviously I had my 2025 target, but I think we can make it to September. So guys, 2 months to lock the hell in. We got 81 subscribers left to go. If you like the videos, subscribe, you'll see a lot more content you like. And also vote in my latest Delta Pokemon design poll, from Pokemon Insurgents. We've been doing these for quite a bit now, and yeah, it's going to be a really fun one to decide what my community believes is the best designed Delta Pokemon from Pokemon Insurgents. But anyway, let's head into the Chaos OU builder, and we're going to start looking at base Dunsparce here. And yeah, I don't think I need to go into the main Pokemon Showdown server like I did with Typhlosion, because there isn't much to speak about Dunsparce's competitive viability over the last 25 odd years, since Gen 2 came out. Dunsparce has never been a good Pokemon in any format, really. Obviously, if you think of the lower tier communities, Dunsparce was like peaking in like, GSC, ZU. I was checking some research on Dunsparce. This thing is PU ban list in Gen 3, so I guess that was its peak, obviously prior to, it getting evolution, which we're obviously going to be talking about as well. But, yeah, Dunsparce was never good in any tier. Like, even when I was playing SMPU or even tiers like Sun and Moon, ZU as well, Dunsparce was never good. Even in Gen 8, Dunsparce wasn't very good. But in Gen 9, obviously a few things changed for it. It's now classed as an NFE mon because, or an LC mon, but obviously Dunsparce is never going to be allowed in LC, not with these stats. But, it's counted as a not fully evolved Pokemon because it did get evolution, which again, like I said, we'll be talking about shortly. But that obviously allowed it to be usable in the Gen 9 NFE format, where Dunsparce is honestly one of the best Pokemon in the format. And to be fair, this is a good W for Dunsparce. It finally is able to do something. So in the NFE tier, Dunsparce has quite a bit going on. Its bulk is pretty passable in the tier with a normal defensive typing. So we're not lacking in fighting types, but it's more like we don't have that many fighting types. Like obviously in Gen 9 NFE, we have mons like Pignite, Monferno, and so on. And those are really the only two like common fighting types you're going to see in that tier. I think some people tried Mienfoo, and I've definitely tried Timber because NFE needs some defoggers, I'll be honest. And Timber wasn't too bad. Scraggy also can get some wins, but those guys are just very uncommon. So most of the time it's going to be Pignite or Monferno. So most of the time Dunsparce isn't really scared of being broken down by the power level Gen 9 NFE because its HP stat is quite high and its defenses relative to the NFE format are quite high. So typically Dunsparce can either just go physically defensive or specially defensive, and it's quite bulky on either side, to be honest. Even if the stats, you'll probably think these stats are complete garbage. Again, compare everything that Dunsparce is fighting in this tier. Like, obviously this is Chaos and there's going to be a lot of like other mons, but like all of these stats are, all these BSTs, all of these stats are not even averaging 500 properly, and Dunsparce doesn't even get to 450. But the stats are in the right places for it to have its role in the NFE format. So yeah, typically it's utilizing annoying moves like Glare or using Serengra's Body Slam to just guarantee paralysis in every time you're using Dunsparce. Either you get the 60% paralysis from Body Slam, which is obviously stab and stops you from being passive, and also punishes pretty much anything that's switching in on you unless they're electric type or have an ability that prevents paralysis, or you just spam Glare for the guaranteed paralysis on anything that's switching in. It's still kept access to Roost in Gen 9, so it has reliable recovery and all of that good stuff. And then it has things like Stealth Rocks. Typically even Dunsparce here has a CM set in Gen 9 NFE, which Serengra's Cheese having the 20% chance of having the 20% chance of just freezing your opponent. That's actually pretty funny, to be honest. And then you just have Ice Beam, Earth Power, quite good coverage. You obviously need Earth Power to get things like steel types like Tinker Tough, and you know, Ice Ground just basically hits most things in the NFE format. So it actually does have a very funny set like this, and obviously it'll go physically defensive to, you know, be bulky on that side while also boosting its special defense at the same time. So yeah, Dunsparce, I put the wrong nature here, unfortunately. The bold nature. Yeah. So yeah, Dunsparce has made an impact in the NFE format this generation. So, you know, overall, I think it's a positive that it became a not fully evolved Pokemon. Now, I've been alluding to its evolution. We all know what its evolution is, at least the mainline evolution, the canon evolution, which is the Dunsparce. Now, a lot of people wanted this a Dunsparce evolution for many years. I even remember back in the day, and I say back in the day like I'm old like that, but even when I was starting out this game in Gen 6, seeing a lot of content on YouTube back then, like early 2010s content on YouTube, a lot of people were like, top 10 Pokemon that need evolution the most. Dunsparce was on every list, bro. I'm telling you, Dunsparce was on every list, you get me? So obviously people were like, oh, we need a Dragon Dunsparce, we need like, and to be fair, back then that was only in Gen 6, you know, tail end of Gen 5, and 4 generations later Game Freak finally delivered. They're like, well, we have the Gen 2 trio of normal shitters, which are Dunsparce, Girafarig, and Stantler. All 3 of those got evolutions in Generation 9. So they didn't know that these guys were in need of some, you know, medical help, and, you know, they delivered on that promise. And we got the Dunsparce. And to be honest, the Dunsparce had a decent start in this generation. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, before pre-DLCs, like, this one was at least, like, RU. Or even like just staying around RU, NU level. I think it's now ZU, which just goes to show power creep thanks to DLCs did not help this one whatsoever. Because on paper, this one is not bad. Like, I can't sit here and tell you the Dunsparce is a bad Pokemon. I'm pretty sure it's in ZU right now, but like I did not open. No, yeah, I'm going into Showdown here. I have everything covered. Did I spell that correctly? Where is the Dunsparce right now? This is the OU format. Spark. Oh, it's actually in PU. Let me not disrespect the GOAT, guys. Let me not disrespect the GOAT. This is the Dunsparce, a PU GOAT. ZU is not ready for this guy. But yeah, like I said earlier, pre-DLCs, this one was like confidently like RU level before DLCs. And it's just because it has like, the stats aren't bad. Like, you have a really good HP stat and your defenses are like pretty decent as well. So it comes to the point where you still have Dunsparce's move pool, you have the annoying Ask Glare, you have Body Slam, coil sets are a lot more efficient to run because you actually have a pretty decent attack stat at base 100. At least for a lower tier Pokemon, the Dunsparce is not a slouch in the damage department, and it's also just a very annoying Pokemon to deal with. So yeah, this one is confidently in the PU tier, and I'm happy to see that because you know, Dunsparce never really had a time in PU, really. Like, again, Gen 3 got banned from PU, and then like post that, like, it's not even good. Like, I played DPP PU, and this channel, you can go back 5-6 years ago, I was playing DPP PU like a madman. And even DPP ZU, I was on the council for many years. Dunsparce was not good. Like, Dunsparce is decent in DPP ZU. I've used Scarf. That shit is funny as hell. But yeah, that one was not doing anything in DPP PU. So it's nice to see his evolution could actually fulfill the dreams of you know, the OG. But yeah, all the sets, they didn't even have sample sets here, but I'd assume it'd just be Glare sort of defensive sets, or you have like coil sets again with Body Slam and Earthquake as well. So yeah, the Dunsparce, probably not the evolution that some people were looking for, but it's so silly because Dunsparce originally is quite a silly Pokemon in general. It kind of just kept that same sort of aesthetic, that same sort of appeal that, like, I feel like it would have been out of place if Dunsparce just evolved into something that, you know, basically looked like the freaking fan art that people used to put in videos back in like 2014. It would have been kind of mad, I'll be honest. But yeah, let's move on to what the fan games decided to give us as Dunsparce. And obviously, we're going to start off with the GOAT of Pokemon fan games, Pokemon Insurgents, which gave us the Delta Dunsparce. Now, this guy, I'll be perfectly honest, when you're stuck with 415 BST and Dunsparce's stats, you're pretty arse, I'll be honest. So, yeah, this guy never really made an impact on any of the Insurgents metas, even if you're to be generous and, like, let's head into Insurgents OU, because Chaos gave it some moves that I probably wanted. But this is basically what Dunsparce, Delta Dunsparce had in, you know, Pokemon Insurgents. This is all the moves that it got, and this move pool is looking quite tragic, I'll be honest. even like, let's say Dunsparce made it into Gen 6 or in any generation. Like, if I speak about the current generation, this guy's not even seen the light of day in ZU, bro. Like, this one is doing absolutely nothing. Like, it will be so useless in ZU. Like, let's actually look at what ZU is looking like right now. You still have things like Charizard, you still got things like Golem. Like, ZU's not like any Bastion or any like mark for like power level, but things like Persimmon, bro. Persimmon was in Gen 7 NU and one of the best mons, and now it's sitting in ZU with fucking Berserker and Persian, bro. Like, what can I even say? Like, it's actually crazy. And I'm telling you, Delta Dunsparce will do nothing. Like, it might be going band for band with Wug Trio and how bad it is, but like, I would have to debate that, and I don't think anyone's willing to debate that with me. But yeah, let's actually think about what Delta Dunsparce is actually capable of doing, at least in the Insurgents metagames. I know it gets some interesting stuff in Chaos that you know, us Pokeathlon people decided to give it as like a sort of grace, because it kind of just needs new moves to actually be, you know, a functional working member of society. But yeah, so in terms of Delta Dunsparce's abilities, you have Hyper Cutter, which is whatever. On a mon with these stats, Hypercut is kind of useless. You have Swift Swim, again, kind of useless, base 45 speed. You'll probably tell me, oh, Beartic makes that work. Pokeaim just use the Beartic. Beartic has 130 attack. Basically is a pseudo water type at this point, because the amount of water coverage that Beartic gets is insane, and also has coverage and has real stats. And also Beartic's my favorite ice type. Don't disrespect the goat like that. But yeah, and then you're left with Skill Link, which is going to be your most useful ability, because you do get multi-hit moves like Bullet Seed. You have Stab, Pin, Missile, and to be fair, maybe like, just give this shit, like, just make a Delta the Dunsparce, so this guy would be using LC. Probably get banned from LC. Again, it just has Dunsparce's stats. Plus, abusing the mechanics of how multi-hit works at level 5, this shit would be banned in LC. In NFE, like, if this was an NFE Pokemon and it was legal in Gen 9 NFE, arguably could be a decent Pokemon. Like, again, it has Dunsparce's stats and, you know, has Swords Dance and actually has a decent attack stat. I could see this one actually being decent in NFE. But it's not an NFE mon. It's a fully evolved Pokemon, so we're going to have to cope and realize that this mon does nothing. But, you know, Swords Dance, Aqua Jet, maybe in a hypothetical SU tier Gen 9. I don't even think Gen 9 SU wants this guy. It's actually crazy, but it's not all about competitive viability. I do think Delta Dunsparce has a pretty cool design. I like it a lot. Shiny colors are also quite interesting as well. Can't say if I prefer that over the original, but you know, this one is cool, has some stuff going on, but it's a very low power level Pokemon, and it's tough for me to say if it's better than the OG Dunsparce. Obviously it's not better than the OG Dunsparce, at least from a competitive viability standpoint, but in terms of what Chaos gave it, I think the only thing relevant here is first impression, and to be fair, first impression is a very fun bug move to have, but yeah, it's on a mon with 70 attack, so good luck with that. But yeah, Delta Dunsparce, that is just how she rode, unfortunately. Now let's move on to the very interesting evolutions that are very fun fan games that Pokemon Infinity and Pokemon Uranium gave to Dunsparce. Now we're going to start off with Pokemon Infinity's one, and I hope Dunsparce is actually from Pokemon Infinity. It's from Uranium. I think that, are they both from Uranium? I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil the other one, but Dunsparce here, the evolution of Dunsparce from Pokemon Uranium, gains the Dragon Flying type, and so all of the people that wanted Dragon type Dunsparce evolution back in 2014, your wish has been fulfilled. To be fair, Uranium's been around for quite a long time, so obviously they were probably inspired by, you know, the community wanting a Dunsparce evolution that evolves into like a dragon. Dunsparce's what do you call it, inspiration, you know, the Tsuchinoko, which is like a Japanese mythological creature, not necessarily a dragon type, but it's kind of like a snake. And obviously, as you can see by Dunsparce, this thing is very snake-like in appearance, kind of moving like Rayquaza like that. But yeah, Serene Grace, Cloud9, every Dunsparce has to keep Serene Grace, unless you're Delta Dunsparce. It's just how it is. But obviously you get Serene Grace Air Slash, and you know, you'll have some very fun times, because that is very annoying to face. At least for your opponent. You're gonna have a fun time using it, not your opponent, you get me? But yeah, 560 base stat total. You gain a total of 155 points in your stats, and they're all in very nice area. It's built similar to the Dunsparce, honestly. Like, maybe Game Freak saw what the fan games were doing and were like, well, we'll take a bit. Like, they have the same exact defense stats. Obviously the Dunsparce is 20 points slow, and Dunsparce is a flying type, but you have a massive 150 HP stat, and Dunsparce is actually a relevant Pokemon in Chaos UU. That goes to show that this mon has, you know, the potential to actually be a very threatening Pokemon in the SV meta games if it actually existed, because it's very bulky. Regardless of whether you go Fizz Def or Spadef, it's going to have a lot of bulk under its name just because its HP stat is very high. Obviously, it has to contend with the fact that it has a Stealth Rock's weakness, so it's going to have to run heavy duty boots, but I don't think Dunsparce really cares. Obviously, it keeps all of Dunsparce's moves, and obviously Dunsparce kept Roost, so it's going to have Roost, and I think Skyfall is its signature move. Last time I was trying to confirm if things had signature moves. No, yeah, Skyfall is the signature move of Dunsparce and the Dunsparce line from Pokemon Uranium. So, Skyfall, what does Skyfall do? 85 base power is basically flying type body slam. So, obviously, Dunsparce traded its normal typing for flying, so at least you have a flying type body slam. But me being the heinous guy I am, I'm going to utilize that higher special attack stat compared to its attack stat, and just go Serene Grace Air Slash and, you know, just be a very annoying mon. Dunsparce obviously keeps Dunsparce's pretty solid coverage. It has Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Ice Beam. I'm pretty sure it gets T-Bolt, but I don't think this thing ever really needs to run T-Bolt. Obviously, gets Earth Power as well. And yeah, Dunsparce can either be an offensive threat if you want it to, but most of the time, it's going to be a pretty fun Pokemon to run defensively, because you get Roost, you get Air Slash, you get Glare, and obviously in you know, Natdex format, you're gonna have access to Defog. Dunsparce obviously did not keep Defog in Gen 9, but you know, if Dunsparce did exist in Gen 9, it wouldn't have Defog either. But you're gonna get away with Paraflinch spam with this guy, and he's gonna be very annoying. In terms of where I believe Dunsparce would be in Scarlet and Violet meta games, just because its bulk is very annoying, I could see this guy legitimately being like at least considered for UU, minimum RU. I could not see NU. Like, it would be very solid in NU, but I could see RU just stealing this shit, because if you want, like, it is bulky enough to just handle a lot, at least in this tier from what I see. Obviously, a lot of, like, RU's, like, attackers have very, they have type advantage. I don't know if Gallade runs Triple Axle on RU, but you have to contend with Mamoswine, you have to contend with Cleavor and Lycanroc Dusk. So you would be careful, but I genuinely think it would have a niche in RU. And even UU might want to use it, just because that tier is going to be... You're going to be able to check things like Keldeo, Iron Jugglist. Like, you just have enough bulk to do what you need to do. But yeah, I can't see this thing being in PU and below, to be honest. The stats are statted, so it would obviously be like that middle range sort of lower tier Pokemon for sure. But yeah, moving on to the other Dunsparce evolution. I think that's all the Dunsparce people that we have to speak about. It's going to be a lot shorter video than the Typhlosion one. But we got Dunsparce here. Now, I think Dunsparce is the one from Infinity. Yeah, I confused them around. But yeah, Dunsparce here, Fairy Ground, takes a very interesting route compared to the dragon like Dunsparce, you know, who all the Pokemon fans wanted to have a real dragon type Dunsparce evolution. So yeah, Dunsparce here has a lower BST than Dunsparce with 540, but it just fully becomes like fast. Like, you have a very offensive Dunsparce evolution here, and you know, 110 HP, 105 attack, like and 100 speed. This is quite respectable. At least, you know, Gen 5 has power crept so much that even I'm questioning, is this even good in Gen 9? And I still think it's like good for like the lower tiers 100%, because now you have a pretty solid, like, this is a ground fairy type. We don't even have that in the mainline game. So yeah, Dunsparce would be very unique in Gen 9 if it actually existed in the mainline games. And yeah, you get Stab Earthquake, you get a move from Infinity called Fang Rush, which is basically just a fairy type Iron Head but with 5 less accuracy. This move was, I admit, like, there's a meme in Chaos, and I think I'll play it. I'll add it into the video. But there's literally a gif of me being memed with this move because I ran a Choice Scarf Dunsparce with Fang Rush in like Chaos UU or some other Chaos OM that we played. I missed Fang Rush against Thunderous T. Yeah, it was Chaos Stab. We're playing Chaos Stab Mons, and obviously, if you guys don't know what Stab Mons is, every Mon gets access to a move of their Stab choice. So obviously, Dunsparce would have access to like every ground move and every fairy move. But I'll still use a Fang Rush because Serene Grace 60% flinch. I was facing a +2 Thunderous T. Had Aeroblast, so very scary Pokemon. And then I was like, oh, my Dunsparce is going to revenge kill this because I'm Choice Scarf. And then Fang Rush missed. And I was like, yeah, this move is the worst move I've ever used in my life. Fucking hate Fang Rush. But yeah, so Fang Rush is its stab. Obviously, I think it gets it doesn't actually, it actually doesn't get play rough. Oh yeah, so you're pretty much stuck with Fang Rush as your physical fairy move. I would assume if it was in Gen 9, let's just give it play rough, because if this thing didn't have a physical fairy type attack, yeah, it'll do. I don't know, man. That would not help it in the slightest, of course. And then you have Earthquake. I think this gets U-turn as well. So yeah, this could be a very viable Scarfer. Shame it won't be transferring Fang Rush, but yeah, what do you call it? Fang Rush would be a very annoying move to handle anyway. But yeah, this thing isn't actually leaning into its special attacking set, so it wouldn't actually be like a Calm Mind Mon in the first place. But yeah, this is just a more offensive Dunsparce evolution. It does get access to Swords Dance, so it could actually be threatening, at least in the lower tiers. Its speed tier is decent enough for it to get away with what it needs to do, and its stab's actually decent. At least, like, Ground and Fairy complement each other quite well. Offensively, Fairy resisted by fire and, you know, poison. Ground hits those, and steel, obviously. Ground hits all three of those super effectively. Ground is resisted by bug and flying and grass. Fairy hits those all neutrally. So yeah, they complement each other quite well. So you don't have to worry about hitting steel types because you have Stab Earthquake. It's more like hitting those steel flying types. And to be fair, you don't have the coverage to really hit those, but you either go Stone Edge, you could go Loki, you could even go Headbutt to just flinch people into range of your Fairy Stab, whether that's Fang Rush or Play Rough, or, you know, Earthquake as well. And yeah, Dunsparce, so it's taking a different perspective from Dunsparce. As of offensive one, I think is obviously more suited for how offensive Gen 9 feels as a generation in general. Yeah, I could see Dunsparce in like, it maybe NU, maybe. Like, again, like, I really have to, like, be strict with it, because power creep is so crazy that things like Staraptor is in NU, Tornadus is in NU, freaking Snorlax has been in ZU for, like, how many months now? Like, maybe a year at this point. So, yeah, I really have to be, like, quite strict. But, like, on paper, like, Dunsparce is not bad, especially, like, I feel like a higher tier will just want to use it. Like, I feel like RU will just want to use it because it has 100 speed, has a good typing to just threaten a lot, like, especially things like Crocodile, Gallade, things like Mark, Mimikyu, and it's not like that Freya Lever. Like, 110 HP is quite good. So yeah, again, both Dunsparce and Dunsparce would be like mid-level, lower tier Pokemon. Like, I could see these guys actually doing quite a bit. And yeah, I think that is all of the Dunsparces that we need to discuss in today's video. And I hope you guys enjoyed what I was talking about here. Let me know down below in the comment section what your favorite Dunsparce I discussed in this video. Whether that's the OG Dunsparce, its main evolution, the Dunsparce, Delta Dunsparce, and its evolution from both Infinity and Pokemon Uranium, Dunsparce and Dunsparce. Let me know down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.